Woo! Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. So happy to yeah, it's Tuesday, y'all. Yeah, it's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. We are ready to get into this. Oh look, Mom, you got it. So, welcome to our Her series live. We are kicking off during during Women's History Month, where I am highlighting some of my favorite women in business this month. Y'all, it has been a great month so far, and we just getting into it. I mean, like, we're only a few lives in, and every live has gotten amazing response. I've selected some amazing women to bring on to my platform, and like, y'all just been killing it. Okay, I just have to really give, like, y'all just really been killing it. So today is a great live, and I'm excited for y'all to join the conversation. Mom, I'll bring you on in just a second. I'm excited for y'all to join the conversation because I had a conversation. I don't even know who I was talking to. I've talked to a lot of people, but I don't know who I was talking to. It was on somebody else's live about, our upbringing and how people or some individuals were stifled growing up because, they felt like, or they were taught, you had to do this, 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 and this. And I told people, I was just like, well, I didn't, that's not my experience. Because my mom was very, allow me to be able to communicate and allow me to be able to talk about things, and have feelings and express how I feel about something. Like, I didn't have that experience with some people have had growing up. And so I was like, that's very amazing. Like, you're very lucky to have that experience. Like, your mom must be dope. So I was like, you know what? She is. So I'm going to bring on. So our guest today, I'm going to bring her on live. I'll be trying to get my thing too. Yeah, Lala, she's super dope. And Lala, I hope you wouldn't read your feedback from your live from this morning. Conversation to talk to. Hey, girl, hey.
What's up, girl?
Hey. So, y'all, like Lala, this is my mom's first time ever on Instagram Live. She has never done it. She's rarely on Instagram in the first place. Okay, rarely. But she's getting better. So I am introducing y'all to my mother. Okay, if y'all think that I'm phenomenal, well,
Wow.
okay, we're almost here with this today. We are a lot alike in a lot of ways, but very different in a lot of ways too.
Yes.
And so I would like you to do your introduction to everyone, other than just saying, "Oh yeah, hey y'all, this is my mom."
Okay. Well, as my dope daughter, because she can't be dope unless I am, and I can't be dope unless she is, I'm Gina. I'm Janisha's mother. I am a senior level paralegal for the last 27 years. I'm also an owner of my own legal service, production service business, GEH Legal. We'll get into that later. I am a middle daughter. I am a mom. I am a wife. And I feel like I'm pretty dope too. So a little bit about me.
So yeah, so let's get into this conversation. So, yeah, the hair genes is going. Okay, they're strong. Okay, we have different
Yeah.
hair textures. Same, similar-ish, but our hair textures are different. But that's a whole nother. We can talk about hair. A whole nother. Okay, the curls be fine. Okay, and there are curls. Okay, don't get it twisted. Our hair genes, as I said, are dope. Okay. So I felt like it was a great opportunity during Women's History Month. I've been saying Black History Month, Lord Jesus, I don't know how long. But I felt like it was a great opportunity to bring you on during Women's History Month because you are also a Black business as well. And so really getting into that story of how you transitioned from being in corporate America for 27 years, going full time into entrepreneurship is a conversation that a lot of people don't talk about and don't understand because it doesn't really happen often. So kind of take us into how you got into the business. I know how you got into the business, but they don't know how you got into the business.
Right.
And how it was navigating corporate America for the last 27 years.
I can start by saying corporate America was something that was pretty much driven into me growing up. I came from a generation where parents, you get out there, you get your education, you go to school, you get your education, you go out and you get a job, right? Corporate America and law was something that I was always interested in. And so I followed those steps. You go, you grind, you work hard. This is what you're supposed to do. You raise your children, you take care of your family. That was what it was for me. And it has been for the majority of my entire life. It wasn't until COVID that you and I started to talk about how we have people in our family that have a skill set in so many areas that people could actually benefit from what we do. With that conversation, it still didn't dawn on me about running your own business. The same thing that you're doing for other people, continue to do that, but do it for yourself under your own umbrella, pushing your own narrative and making sure that you call the shots, right? I had never understood that concept before because that's not where I came from, right? I had, working parents and they worked hard and that was what was drilled into them and that's what they drilled into us. So running your own anything was not part of my narrative until 2020 happened, when everybody pretty much had to shut down and everybody was at home working and all of that. And the conversation that you and I began to have was about, why are you doing this? You're already at home anyway. You're already doing these kind of things. So why not do it for yourself? And it wasn't until that conversation that it started to kind of register that, yeah, you're right. Why couldn't I? And I've never been one to be fearful of anything, and I feel like that's where you get it from because fear, when I say fearful of a lot of things, I raised you, wasn't, by myself, with my village of people, of course, but I raised you. You and I moved from one city to the next, and pretty much it was you and I, right? And so fear of what's to come or what I can do never entered my mind, because what was in my mind is if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, right? And so it wasn't a fear that I can't do it, but my fear was my confidence within myself. Are people going to be willing to, do business with me or, be interested? So it was a fear for me when I first got into it. So
that's great. When I look down, it's because I be taking notes. I have to tell people I do take notes during the lives because stuff be jogging my memory, and so I need to make sure that I tackle those things. So if y'all have questions, drop them down in the chat. Okay. So it's an interactive conversation. It ain't just us talking. Y'all can ask whatever questions y'all have and make whatever comments. Okay. We're here for it. Okay. So you were saying like this was just not something that you knew you grew up learning about. And that's very common in the Black community. Not saying that there wasn't an era where there were booming Black businesses, but traditional Black families, that wasn't something that was taught. Our grandparents weren't taught that. Our great-grandparents were taught that, even though they essentially were business owners, they just didn't take that thought process and know that this is what I can do and do it for myself. Right. So it wasn't something that was passed down from generation to generation. That wasn't a thing. And so it's important that, and I feel like a lot of the generational gap. Let's start there. So, like I said, she is my mother, so of course we are in different generations, obviously. And so, how was your generational gap between your mom, you ain't gotta go deep, and you having a child, knowing that okay, this is what was instilled in me, I'm instill this in somebody else, because our generation is so different.
Wow. Without going deep, my mother's generation, or my parents' generation, as I said, had this continuous, if they were told it, they just did it, right? And so their upbringing and their direction of their children stayed that way. That did not work for me. And so for me, although I continued a bit of a cycle, and you know, everybody knows they can look at you and look at me and know that I had you very early. That was a generational continuation, having a child early, right? But after having my child and raising you, when I say my child, having you, raising you, there were a lot of things that I did not want to repeat. Being the things to be able to communicate, to be able to share your feelings, to be able to say, well, you know what, I don't really like that. I'd like to do something different, be able to express that and have the support to do those things, rather than not being able to communicate, not being available, just kind of, you know, just move on and follow the status quo or follow the instructions you were given. For me, I wanted that to change. I didn't want my child or you to be in fear of anything that you wanted to do, anything that you wanted to say. I wanted it to be an open area and an open feeling for you to do whatever you needed to do or wanted to do. It may not have made sense to me, but when it made sense to you, I wanted that, you to have that kind of leverage. And so for me, that was a generational process that I felt like I wanted to break when I had you.
Mm-hmm. See, y'all see, it don't even make sense. Stuff that I do don't even make sense to my mom. Okay? It never has. It probably never will. But you know what? If it don't make sense to her, I don't expect nobody else to understand it, because it ain't gonna make sense to y'all either. This is just what it's been our whole life. It's not just gonna make sense. But I just be like, no, I'm gonna do it. Oh, okay, you can do that? Yep, I'm gonna do that too. I get that a lot. Like, how is it that you always have something else that you're always thinking to do? And I just be like, I mean, it's just literally has always been. If there's something that I want to do, I'm gonna do. I've never had nobody else tell me, well, you know, you shouldn't do that and blah, blah, blah. I mean, there'd be people outside of, you know, my circle that say that, but I just be like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'm pretty honored to do that. So, yes, while exposing those limiting beliefs is important. And, you know, it's something that you said, and the same thing we talked about during our live with Lala, is it was a choice to make that you wanted something different. And Lala made that same statement of, I knew that I wanted to do something different. I had to make the choice to say that I needed to do it. I may not have known what that looked like, because you didn't know what that something different was going to look like raising a child, but you knew that you wanted to do something different because it didn't work well for you. So let me figure out something else that I can do. I don't know what this is going to look like. I don't know if it's going to work. I mean, I could have turned out to be a terrible human being, and then you could be like, well, dang, it didn't work. But I didn't. I'm great.
You did.
But in order for it takes that first thought process to say, I need to do something different.
So you also took that same thought process when it came to entrepreneurship, because so the conversation had, I ain't gonna tell all your business, but I'm gonna tell a little bit. Okay.
Big
The
step out
conversation,
here. Big step.
it was almost like, well, before even that part. So the conversation during COVID, you know, like I said, this is, Eudaimonia is my second business. Third.
Right.
Second, third.
Right.
And so me making the decision that I wanted to start this, I had no idea what I was doing. The only person that I knew of that had a business that wasn't really a success, I mean, it was great. She's just had it for a long time. My grandma's had a cleaning company since 1970. I didn't know it was a business. I just thought that's just what she did. I didn't even learn that she was a business owner until years later. I just knew we went to go clean apartments and all that stuff, but it never thrived. When I say it wasn't a success, it never became more because that wasn't the thought process of expanding and growth and scaling. That was never the thought process. A business was started in 1970 by a Black woman. So that thought process was never there. So when I was like, oh, okay, I want to do one, I had the conversation with my grandmother, and she, you know, she talked about things. You know, there are things that, you know, I could have did this and did this, but she didn't think that. So when I had the conversation with my mom is the first person that had anything that starts in my business, I would guarantee you the thought process goes through her first. It always happens. If you be wanting to know what really be happening, she knows. Okay. So the thought process came, okay, I'm going to do this thing. Mind you, Mom was still full-time corporate American. And so when I had the thought process during COVID, there are so many of us in my family that are talented. A lot of them are on this live right now, okay, that are super talented, and we can do so much more, but why don't we? And that was the thought process I had. Because for me, like I said, when we talked about last time, our circle is very, very close. We sister cousins, and that's literally what we are. So we're very close. So I said, you know what? I talked to my mom. I said, so what do you think about having a conglomerate of businesses amongst all of us, and we really push each other, and we come together to be a parent company? Is originally what it started out to be. Like, what are your thoughts about that? She was like, well, yeah, I mean, mind you, she hadn't really tapped into business. Like, we thought about it, but it wasn't really something that she did. She did stuff on the side, but nothing that was a consistent basis. So she's like, well, yeah, you know, we could do it. So the challenge started. Okay, I'm gonna get everybody together. Everybody needs to be real on what your business is, though. But if we're gonna do the business, you have to do the business. We can't go into this saying, okay, we're gonna have some little under the table type business. We ain't doing that. You need to make sure that your business is official. You need to make sure you have your documents in order with the state. You need to make sure you have documents together with Uncle Sam. You need to make sure you have the things established that is needed to really, the basic stuff to run the business. So I challenge everybody. You got to have these three things. Okay? You can get these three things together, then we're going to do it. And so that's really when the shift came, and I really saw my mom really start to be like, oh, okay, let me kind of do this and let me see. So she was getting stuff, and I'm pushing. I'm like, Mom, you got to get your stuff in order. You need to get your LLC together. You need to file your stuff. You need to do this. Okay? I'm glad that I did, because not even a couple years later, a year?
No,
later,
less than a year. Yeah.
Yeah, less than a year later, and she had no choice. If she wouldn't have had that stuff in order, it would have been a whole different situation. So I pushed, like, okay, guys, we started having meetings. We started talking about things in business. Things that I learned just when starting my own business to start. Challenges that I came through, things and conversations I had with other people in business. Bare basic stuff. I ain't talking about high level stuff. Filing an LLC, getting the EIN, make sure your business established, having business bank accounts, what that looks like so that you can make sure that you are set up for success to be able to do what you needed to do. That's where it started. I pushed her for a few months, and then she finally got back together. Like she said, fast forward to less than a year later, she was laid off from her job.
Yeah.
Talk about how that transition happened.
Wow. So you know how those things happen, and you have a motivator, which you are my motivator, right? And things are pushing along, but when you have that, and that's just who we are, when you have that security, you're kind of like, okay, yeah, I can do that. I'll do that, right? I'll get around to doing that and really focusing on and putting some things in place so that I can really get this thing going. Well, boy, a hell of a motivator is when you get like, laid off. And it's like, whoa. But like some people, you get down in the dumps and whatever. And because of how you had motivated me and the direction that you had shown that I wasn't even thinking about, I was like, this gives me the time I need to really flourish and do what I've been doing, but do it under GEH legal. And so I thought I would have been depressed and all of that, and you could probably attest to that because you and I talked every day during that time, but it never got to that point for me. One, because I am spiritual, I do believe in the Most High, and what is going to be for me will be for me. And I didn't have a fear of that.
She was mad.
I also,
She wasn't saying she was mad.
well, let's be clear. I was mad, and I also, I sued him, and got paid for that, of course. But that's just having a background and knowing what it is, how to protect yourself. And yeah, I was mad. I was definitely mad, but I think you can attest to the fact that I wasn't down in the dumps. I wasn't worried. I wasn't concerned. I wasn't like, oh Lord, what am I going to do next? One, I've been in this business for a long time, and I have forged relationships during this time that even if I wanted to just pick up the phone and call somebody and say, hey, I need something or I need a job, I knew I had that. But that's not what I relied on. What I then did was picked up the phone and all of the contacts that I did have, say, look, I'm going in business myself. I've already done it. I've established it. Send me some business. During that time, also, we were learning through our course that you had set up for us in our business course that you learn about corp-to-corp payments. So, an organization where one corporation pays another corporation. You're still working. You look like an employee, but you're an employee of your own business. And so that elevated and got me to a point where I was like, oh, wow. Thanks, Nisa, for that, because I didn't understand that, didn't know that. So it wasn't that transition, and what happened just made me stronger. And I felt less fearful of what's next. I wasn't in fear of, oh Lord, what's going to be next. That never entered my mind because I knew I had my own backup, which was myself. So with that being that, I was like, that's always been me. I've always been I think Lala said on her live, I kick butt, take charge and kick butt. I've always been that kind of female anyway. And so the fear of what's next for me never really bothered me because I know when I set my mind to it, I can do it.
Oh.
And that's what I wanted to do for myself because I said, I'm looking at my daughter. I'm looking at how phenomenal she is, not only, as a registered nurse, but then a traveler, then starting her own business without fear. So for me, it was like, well, honey, she had to get it from somewhere. So rely on that same juice or that same bloodline that you gave her. Rely on that for yourself. And so that's why there was no fear, that came about for me after, being laid off.
See?
Mm-hmm. Y'all clap it up. Y'all gotta give it up. That is, y'all gotta give me some love in the comments and let us know. Some give us some hearts. Like I said, it's her first live, so she's doing well. Y'all, she's doing real good. Y'all gotta keep us engaged though. So because no one gets prepared, but nothing that I ask them. Be very clear. Nobody has no idea the questions that I'm asked. They don't know what direction the conversation. They just got a little snippet of we're gonna talk about this to this. Okay, That's it. That's all they know. And so it's important for people to understand that you don't always have to wait until your back is in a corner for you to act. You don't have to always wait until you have no other option to strike. And you also have to understand you got to keep a powerful network. That has literally been the topic of conversation all week. That is literally because your network is your net worth. Because when you were laid off from your job, it was oh my God, I wasn't scrambling. And I said to her, I said, this is exactly why you needed to be in the position that you are right now and why I was pushing. Because now, all that just means, because she was mad, I ain't gonna lie, she was mad. She didn't get sad, she was mad. And I was just like, take that same energy to be mad and fuel it into your business. Because now at this point, you have the time, nothing but the time to go full-fledged into entrepreneurship. Mind you, she had no idea what that was going to look like. This is something she's never done before. My mom has never worked for herself as an entrepreneur. So going from corporate America, you said that, you know, you get comfortable in the security of being in corporate America. How has that transition going from full-fledged corporate America to 100%? Be very clear. She's 100% full-time entrepreneurship. 100%. What they look like.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable, challenging, because if you can't keep a good influx of clients and more people, other firms that you're dealing with, because I deal with firms, I deal with, law firms. I do some, individual stuff for individuals, right? But I'm dealing with law firms and everything. And if you don't have one that's consistently where I got enough work that's coming, that money ain't coming in. It's not coming. That's an uncomfortable feeling. But not uncomfortable enough where I'm saying, oh, Lord, this ain't something I'm going to do. And what was I thinking? So it's uncomfortable, but it's refreshing. It's liberating. And it lets you know who you are. So I prefer it.
Mm-hmm. When you say you prefer, what do you mean?
You basically, you make your shots. You call your own shots. You make your moves. It's a lot to handle. It's a lot to do because it's always something you got to do. And you don't have, I find myself having to do weekend stuff, and weekends used to be, my weekends are free. I don't want to be bothered, but you can't do that. You are pretty much on the clock doing something,
Mm-hmm.
but you're doing it because you're doing it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean. I prefer it.
You have more satisfaction that comes out of that.
Correct.
Because it is very clear. You don't go from the hours of corporate America for most are your 40 hours a week. Like that.
Right.
That's what you do. As an entrepreneur, it is a 24/7 thing. You can have balance. You can have days that you see clients. You can have that. But when you're in that growth phase and that building phase, like you are going 24/7. Okay? You thinking about your business. You think about how you can scale it. You think about how you can make it better. You think like your brain is constantly going. I literally had a call this morning before this live about how I can streamline my business and take me out of it and automate all this stuff. Like you always are looking for things and ways for you to be able to be better. Like it's just that's real life. So,
and work is always on your brain, no matter what you're doing. It's always on your brain. It's always, oh, you know what? That was on my list. I need to check that off the list. We got talking about in our group where we have whiteboards. I have whiteboards in my office. I have whiteboards in my bedroom, my personal bedroom. And it's those things that I have to remind myself of things that I have to do when I would never do that before, you know? But because you got all these different things going on in your head, you better write it down. And baby, because I'm older now, whoo, child, I forget a lot. You know, and it doesn't, so, you know, you're going to forget. So you have to do those things that put you in a place to be better. And whatever those things are, you have to do those things to put yourself in a place to do better and be better. And we learn together on what those things are to be better. At, you know, being entrepreneurs, at being mothers, at being spouses, at being, you know, cousins and all of that kind of stuff. You know, our group, our entrepreneur group, has really motivated me in such a way that I didn't even know I needed.
So, that was my next thing. So let's talk about your experience in the Emerging Leaders Group. She is our secretary of our Emerging Leaders Group. So talk about how the experience has been for you being in that space with other business owners.
Let me tell you something. As I mentioned, I have been motivated, encouraged, pushed, supported more than I'd ever seen before from this group of beautiful women that I'm with. And the support is not, or the push is not in a negative connotation at all. It's, we're right here with you. We riding this with you. The support, the heart of that group that it gives you is so fulfilling. It fills you up. It gives you a sense of connection, peace, that no one can ever imagine what that feels like unless you have a group of women like we do in our emerging entrepreneur group. And we get into some personal things that we, push each other through and say, but it's okay. Because one, a lot of you have been through the journey with us. We've been through it together. So we know about it, but you're never judged. You are always supported. And, there's a lot of tears, happy, sometimes frustrating, some, frustration or just happy, in the support that you get. It's just insurmountable. No one can ever know what that feels like until you're part of a group that we have. And it's given me so much more purpose.
Awesome. See? So it's important that you have a circle. Yes, Lala. Filled with love, accountability, and healthy pressure. That's a good healthy pressure. I like that word. I'm gonna steal that. Healthy pressure. Because I do push. And it's very, like, my mom is one of the people that are in our Emerging Leaders group. And so some people would be kind of intimidated by that. Like, so you give your mama healthy pressure? Absolutely. They do. Nobody is off limits, okay? When we come together, we understand you may not like it, and it may feel uncomfortable. She did this conversation. She's like, well, that's not clear. Well, that was not clear. Okay.
So
let me fix that so that it is clear. It could be an assumption, and I'll give that. But it's important, and my dynamic in my relationship with mom allows me to have that space to be able to be like, this is what if you tell me that this is something that you want to do, I'm going to push you to it. No matter who you are. Okay? You may not like it, and you may not like the push, and you may be like Kathy says, in the hot seat. And nobody likes the hot seat. But it is necessary because some of us come from backgrounds where we're comfortable. We know everything about our corporate life. We know how to do it. We know what to do. We know how to put the fires out. We know everything about how to navigate that. Entrepreneurship is not the same thing. And you can take how you handle those situations in corporate America and use them in your business, but putting out fires is very different. You ain't got anybody else to rely on to go and be like, well, let me get your opinion on it. It is only you. So it's important to get healthy pressure, to understand that if you get it from the inside and you're prepared for it already, up front. When somebody else brings it to you, you just like, oh, okay. But what else you got? Oh, that was all you had? Okay, what else? Okay, what else? And I use that space because everyone understands, like, this is a safe space. This is an area for everyone to grow. We learn something from everybody in the group because everybody brings a different perspective. And so it's okay to be uncomfortable and frustrated. It's fine. Vent it out. But I'm still going to hold you accountable for the things that you're supposed to do. We still got goals to meet. And in order for us to meet those goals, it means that we have to be intentional. We have to have actionable steps. We have to make sure that, yeah, girl, that's cute, but no, did you do what you're supposed to do? No, why not? Because for me, I have coaches that are like that for me because it's going to get me to that place. You still may get there the other way too, but how quick are we going to get there? We ain't got all day. Life is short and time is money. And let's be very, very clear. If you have a goal that you've set, you've got to set actionable steps and put the steps into action and motion so that you can be able to get to them. We can spin all day, but forward movement. If we ain't moving nowhere, where we go?
Nowhere.
There we go. So talk to them about GEH Legal. What is it? What do you do? What do you offer?
So, well, if everybody knows who I am, GEH Legal was derived from who I am, Gina Elizabeth Hodge. Doing an homage to my dad, using his name, was how I came up with the name of GEH Legal. What GEH Legal is me. What you get with GEH Legal is me. And my experience or my skill level being in the legal field for the amount of time that I have for over 27 years. What I do is I am a paralegal who, in the area of law that I'm in now, is intellectual property law. But prior to that, I was doing bankruptcy law, family law, and personal injury. So what I do for other people now is, and I also, because of starting this business, I also have helped several people form their own corporations or LLCs and added that to my portfolio of doing, helping attorneys do family law work, divorces, agreements and things like that. I haven't done a lot of bankruptcy since, the early 2000s. But, if there's any attorneys that ever need that, I'm always available to do that as well. But I pretty much focus right now on helping attorneys with any personal injury, state court filings, and family law. I do a lot. Unfortunately, I've helped quite a few people and attorneys do divorce law, which is not fun. But being the person that I am, I've always been a person of service, didn't realize that. And I always wondered, where did my daughter get this from, where she wanted to serve people in the way that she does in the RN business? Well, everybody who works for someone is servicing someone, a client, your boss. And I did not realize until I started doing this for myself that this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm being of service to someone or some people. And so with that, when you think of service, it used to be a negative connotation, but it's really not. It really speaks to who you are as a person, right? And so I embraced that part and just said, okay, I can be of service to so many people using my, legal background. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm. And then you also service people on an individual basis.
That's correct. That's just individual people that, like I mentioned, doing divorces, filing corporations for them, helping them in the IP trademark world, helping people do that in addition to what I do for law firms still.
Mm-hmm. She got some more stuff that she really shouldn't talk to y'all about, but she do
Yeah,
other stuff.
not right now. Not right now.
So it's I love that. Well, let's talk about how has life been as a full-time entrepreneur, coming from corporate America, full-time entrepreneur. How is that life for you?
It's busy, and it's. But I I have to say though, it's really kind of the same. I was always busy, but I'm busy like all the time now. When I worked with the corporate America, that's Monday through Friday, and I'm good. But it's always been busy, and it's still that way. It's still that way. I had to learn how to delegate, which is something in a book that we have currently getting ready to do our book club on, is learning how to literally delegate to other people to make you better. Because when you do everything, you're not efficient. And I didn't learn it the hard way, but I learned it by trying to put everything on my own plate, but I have to delegate to people.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that kind of transition and learning and understanding through our emerging group, it allowed me to push things out and be comfortable with doing that and allowing people to be of service to me.
Mm-hmm.
When I was like, this is mine, I got to get this done, blah, 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 blah. I had to redo my thinking or reevaluate my thinking and change it.
Mm.
That not only happened in this transition or during the entrepreneurship, but it had to happen before even getting involved in it. There had to be a change in my head that I'm different, so I have to do things different.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to make different choices.
Y'all see the stuff that's going along here? A change in mindset. Understanding you have to make a thought process, delegation, network. This has been the theme in every life, and I just want y'all to put those two pieces, all them pieces together, because it's real. And you have to have that mindset. So how has it been for you to have to juggle entrepreneurship, being a wife, being a mom, being a leader? Like, how does that look?
Well, the great thing is being a mom, I have a daughter who's a mega business owner and is busy. She's doing that thing. And I'm just a support system to her. So that doesn't interfere with any of my schedule. So the mom part, I'm going to be a mom for life, but that doesn't interfere at all. As a spouse, I don't really have that issue. My husband understands, pretty much everything I do. And he goes, whatever you do, I'm cool. And that's the kind of partnership that we both have had, because when he wanted to get into business, I was always there as a support system to him. And he's always been one to push, you could have been doing this a long time ago. You could even do more than what you're doing now. So there's another push on the other side, which I agree. But everything comes in our own time. And that's something that people have to also remember. You can give a healthy push, you can give a healthy encouragement, but everything has to come in the time that the person's mind has been elevated, has been changed, and who can receive the information that you are providing. Because if they don't, it ain't going to happen. So the balancing part, it's been okay for me. I haven't had a major battle with any of that. It's just me getting out of my own way and getting stuff done, because I don't have any outside family problems or people that's getting in and I can't stop I don't have that. So really, it's on me. I'm the one that stops me from doing things. I don't have the interference.
Right. And so a lot of times that can be difficult, because a lot of people say that, as well, it should be so much easier for you. You don't have a family and you don't have this and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, y'all think that, but you still have to be a leader. I still have employees that are under me, which I don't like to call them employees. I have people that work with me. I have a team of people. Like, it's a lot to juggle and to balance. And it's important for me now, and what, I've learned is set yourself up now so that it'll be much easier for you later on when you have those other things that come into the way, and you know, your priorities have to shift, because you may not have the opportunity to be like, ooh, let me just go and do this. Ooh, I may not have to do this. And that's the beauty of how my relationship with my mom is, because I've always had the freedom to be able to be like, you know, this is something I want to do. Growing up, I mean, there wasn't anything I was not involved in, whether it was sport, whether it was extracurricular activities. Like, there was nothing that I was never involved in that she ever said, oh, no, maybe you shouldn't do that. Oh, well, maybe you shouldn't see that. It was expose you to all the things that you feel like you want to do. You feel like you want to do it, do it. Now, she may not have agreed with it all, and she may be like, she may not like it, and she never said it. But that allowed me to be able to say, okay, I may not know what it's going to look like, but it's something I want to do, and I'm going to try. I'm going to try it. There are some things she may have not wanted me to try, but I did. And it has allowed me to be more versatile. It has allowed me to be a better leader. It has allowed me to be a better business owner, because I understand that you can try things and understand what it is. I am very clear on what I like and what I don't like. Very, very clear. I can tell you real quick what I like and what I don't like. And the things that, and some people are still trying to figure that part out, but I don't figure that part out. Do I change on how it grows for things that I wasn't adjusted to or used to? Yes. But I'm very clear of, if there's something that I want, let's try it, let's see. And if it don't work, pivot.
Yes.
And that is very important as a business owner, that a lot of who you are, and one of my coaches told me this, whatever it is you don't work out in your personal life is going to show up in your business. I'm very fortunate that a lot of things that I didn't have to deal with growing up, so I don't deal with those type of issues in my business, because they were never issues for me.
Right. I
never had to go down those, you know, some paths, and everybody has their own journey. And that's not to say, you know, oh, well, what you did was terrible. I'm not saying that. I'm just fortunate enough that I didn't have those things that I had to deal with. And so it's allowed me to be even better in my area and what I do. It's just, I get in my own way. So a lot of times, just because you don't have those other obstacles and barriers that other people may have in business, you really have to understand and take a look and deep dive into yourself of, how is it and why do I keep getting in my own way? What is stopping me from getting to my goals and accomplishing the things that I want to do? What is it in me? Because like you said, you know, having the confidence in yourself. Well, where did that lack of confidence come from? Well, I don't think people are going to like how this looks. Well, why do you think that? It may not be something that happened, but we get in our head a lot, because I overthink everything. We get in our head a lot, and we tell ourselves things that are not there. And so a very important activity that I made sure that everyone did is it based in fact or belief?
Right.
And if you don't have concrete reasons to say this is a fact, this is why this is not going to work, then it's a belief that you taught yourself, and you've got to let it go. Like I said earlier, you've got to dismantle those limiting beliefs. And a lot of our limiting beliefs come from how we were raised, we were involved into, what was told to us. You got to understand and learn, are those things that you still believe in, or has your thought process changed? Are those things you ever believed in, or is that not who you are? Because it's very easy for generation to generation to generation to generation to pass down beliefs from one generation to the next. It's very common and prevalent in our community. So you have to get out of your own way to say, if this is something I'm wanting to do, how do I remove myself? Because as women, we identify as so many things. But you said it, right. I ain't got nothing else in my way but me.
But me.
So
and let me I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and I want to be clear, to anyone who, listens or whatever, when we're talking about generational things and what was, passed down to us, we're not bashing on how our
Oh,
parents brought us up.
mm,
But what we are saying is when you know that there's things different that you can do and you can identify those things, you put those things for yourself into action. And I learned that when I did that, there were positive things that came out for me and my family, which was you being a part of my family. There were things that changed and things that were different that were more positive in my view that came out of me changing that generational direction. And
mhm,
so it was a positive for me. They couldn't give us any more than what they had. But my generation, we had the ability to make the change if we decided to. I was one of those people that wanted to make that change. That happens in my personal life and that happens in business. I had to do that. And I see positive growth from making those changes from what we've always known
mm.
to what we can become.
I love it. We got a really good question, and I do
Okay.
want to answer that question.
Okay.
Um, Lala says, GEH Legal, what advice would you give to your younger self about pursuing entrepreneurship?
The first thing I would say is surround yourself with people who will encourage you, who will positively push you, who will push you to be accountable. They will make you accountable. And don't have any fear, because the key word to anything that you do, when you start something, if it's not going the way you want it to, pivot,
Mhm.
add to it, change it up a bit, but stand true and stand 10 toes down on what you believe in and never waver from that. And don't let your own self get in your way. Don't get in your own way and just push through it. I remember having a conversation with Nisi one time, and she was talking about how something had happened in the business, and it was an event or whatever, and she was talking about how she felt like she failed. And as I'm looking at her as her mother, I don't want to see her hurting. But what I saw in her is what a younger person or a younger me would
Mhm.
have want to see. And what it was, you know what? I'm pissed, I'm mad, I'm hurt. But the next day, she took that fuel and pivoted into something else that got even better and even grander. And better things happened with
Mhm.
Groupon and all these other things that just popped up. And had she stayed in that mindset, those other things would have never came to pass. And for me, being a younger me and seeing someone like her move from that kind of debilitating situation, thousands of dollars out the window, but instead of staying in that place, I would have, as a younger person, would have wanted to see how she was able to conquer, manage, and maneuver. Conquer it, managed it, and maneuvered to a new space, and other blessings just came to pass. And as a younger person, if you can see the rawness of what a person can go through with any kind of obstacles and still come out shining, that's what I would have wanted to see. And it helps and motivates me now to this day. She's the best motivator. She was a motivator when she was born because she had to push me out of being a little girl and until being a woman. She's now a woman who's now motivating and pushing and supporting her mom. I got the best of all the worlds because of what she's given to me. So any young girl or any young entrepreneur, Lala, I will tell you this. The advice I would give them, surround yourself with people like you, like Nisi and Ashley and Nikita, and just women who are so phenomenal and powerful. And all they ever do is push you to be a better you. So for me, that's all I need.
Look, now that between you and Lala, y'all do it to me every single time. But I love that me and Lala working on merch stuff too. But I'm gonna put that conquer, manage, and maneuver because it's important. You have to conquer the thing, okay? You got to learn how to manage it, and then if whatever way you got to go, left, right, up, down, back, forward. Sometimes you got to go back.
Right.
But you got to learn how to maneuver around that because, I mean, even for me, I'll say the same thing. Like, younger me has always been like, I never, ever thought that I would be an entrepreneur. Literally, I remember in college and I said, entrepreneurship is not going to be my thing. I am going to climb the corporate ladder. My goal was to be the chief nursing officer of a hospital. I was like, I'm going to climb the corporate ladder. That was my goal. Everything else, that's not for me. And it wasn't until I said, they say, tell God your plans and watch him laugh.
Watch him laugh.
Because, baby, I is completely opposite. I have no goal of being nobody's CEO. Okay, not ever do I have that thought process. But to think that I was only limiting myself to only being the CEO, that was the only, that was as far, and I felt like I would have made it if I would have hit that. I removed that from a goal of mine to pursue, and the opportunities and what has the goals for me now surpassed far beyond a CEO of the hospital. So it's very important that whatever you say, you got to see the thing before you see the thing. Okay. So let us know what's next for you.
Oh, boy. I don't even think the sky's the limit for me. There is other things in the entrepreneur world that I know that I will be getting into, and even you don't know this, but I've just put myself in a position now where I'm going to be doing music again. So I'm going to be adding, huh?
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. So I got a call last week to kind of start doing some acoustic stuff. So I'm going to be adding another level to, trying to balance all of that. But that was another fear for me, that even though my family and, certain people say, oh, there's a skill level that you have. In addition to your brain, you also have a vocal ability that's phenomenal. And why don't you use it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a fear of just not feeling like I'm really as good as people say I am, right? So that's another thing that I'm having to conquer. And with that, I had to just step out, have that conversation, and now that's getting ready to get started, actually, this week. So that's another level. I am booked and busy as far as GEH Legal. I can't see straight. I have so much work to do, but I know that eventually it could break off to where, it could be another side business coming up doing the music for me. So that's going to be another responsibility that I'm going to have. And then with GEH Legal, I'm grateful for all of the work, and I'm just going to, for me, I'm just going to keep riding that out, because right now I'm so busy. I just, I can't take no more at this point. But
busy and blessed. We're going to maneuver that too.
We're going to maneuver it. But, I've just added it, like you, I've added another level, another layer. And like I said, scary to me because it's a gift for me. And I don't always know how other people perceive the gift. So I have to just, and I may actually, people don't know this, but going to see a vocal coach, and even though people say, you have a vocal ability, but I feel like my fear comes from not understanding the ability that I have. And in order to understand that gift, someone else has to help me. So I have to surround myself with other people. And that's something I'm learning. That is something I've never done. If it came natural to me, I just did it, and I didn't seek help from other people. And I'm realizing more and more that you have to get help to get past obstacles that are in front of you. So just another layer that I'm adding to me.
Be coachable. Second live, we talked about this. About being coachable. Because, it doesn't matter how great you are, you still have to be able to understand that you have more work that you can always work on. I can be great at what I do, and I can still learn how to fine-tune that skill. So, right. I think that's amazing. Y'all probably... No, probably not. But it's okay. I think it's amazing. I'm going to just say that. Because you understand that I can always do better. I can always be better. I can always do better. Like Lala said, mic drop. Okay. Mic drop. Period. Point blank. So being able to, like Lala was saying too, you have something that is your passion work, and then you have something that really fuels you. And music has always been a thing for my mom that she loves all the time. She's always done it my whole life. And so to be able to get into something else and have the passion for it and the drive for it is an amazing opportunity to be able to bring the two together. So just like Lala is learning, her other goal and her purpose and her drive and her passion is bigger than what she says. I think the same is for you. Your passion, your goal, what you think that you want to do is bigger than what it is that you say that it is. So I feel like, your sister said you can drop us a little ditty. I feel like it's important to understand that we are not one-trick ponies, and there are multiple things that we love to do, and we can do them all. We can do them all. So I appreciate you for coming on here live. Y'all show some love for her in the comments. Y'all show some hearts. She did her first live. This will not be the last that y'all see. But now y'all can understand where my fuel, where my drive comes from, and how I handle it and do everything so effortlessly. And y'all see where I be all over the place. She be talking about I be all over the place. And look, she be all over the place too. So I appreciate you for coming on here, having a little bit of vulnerability today, and sharing your passion, your why, your reasoning, because it's important for people to understand that. Social media is not her thing, y'all. It is not. It will be. Oh, it will be. But social media is not her thing. It's not a comfort thing for her. She doesn't feel like it's a necessity. But it will be. Okay? So I appreciate you, and leave the people with some lasting bit of something from you.
Always believe in yourself, support others, build one another up, and be the positivity that one person who needed it that day, be that positivity for that person. Because you just never know what kind of impression you can leave on people. Be the best and the most positive on anybody you come in contact with, because they may have needed it that day. And always just keep in mind that being of service to people is okay. It's a wonderful thing, because when you serve, people in turn give you that same positive energy in return. So be okay with being available and of service and support to someone else, because it comes back.
Awesome. How can the people connect with you?
Well, girl, I don't even know my what is my, I don't know.
She said, I
What,
don't even know mine.
girl,
See what I
I
said?
don't even know. What is my
This is,
Instagram handle time? It's just,
that's her. This is her Instagram. I will pin it at the
thank
bottom for y'all.
thank you,
So y'all
people.
can follow her, okay? She don't even know her name
I
on
have no
Instagram.
idea.
She don't use it
No.
at all, okay? So if y'all have any questions or anything, feedback, or just any conversations you'd want to have, and she can answer more for you. This is the person I go to when I got any kind of questions before I go to my attorney. I'd be like, girl, what do I need to do about this? What do I do this contract? Maybe I need one.
And
I
just
appreciate
know,
you
when
so
you
much
come, I go to the attorney and ask it, do I know it's on my speed dial? And I always can get an
because
answer
I'm
for
going
you.
to find an answer. Okay. Contracts, documents. Okay. I tell people on every live, everybody has a skill that I have to keep for myself. That's a skill that I keep for myself. You like, everybody got one. So I can't tell y'all all the skills that they have because then I won't be able to use them. So
Right.
that is me
That
being
part.
selfish. That's absolutely true. But you guess what? I don't care. I need to be able to keep my circle. I need to keep my circle. Thank you. So we look forward to what's next for you. We look forward to seeing you more on the platform. We're definitely going to bring you back. I definitely got a whole panel that now I want to do. And you know, you popped your live cherry. Hey, hey.
Hey,
So
hey.
how was it? How was it? How'd you feel?
It's like having a conversation with you. I felt I would be really, intimidated by it, but I'm sitting here having a conversation with my daughter who's, inquiring about things, and you forget about anybody who's watching. It's just a connection with you and anybody else who, is willing to listen. So I didn't feel bad at all. I wasn't nervous once we got on here, and we just flowed. So that's what we do anytime we talk anyway. So that's what it felt like. Just like I'm having a conversation with you.
Like Lala said, she's a boss. Believe it. Okay. Thank y'all for tuning in. I hope y'all enjoyed this live. I'll be having to keep my watch so I can make sure I be on time.
Thanks,
Lala said,
Lala.
great job, Gina. Thanks for sharing yourself with us.
Thanks, Lala.
I appreciate y'all for tuning in and interacting with us and joining the conversation. I'm so excited for the next conversation that we're going to have because both of my lives have talked about being coachable and having coaches. So I'm excited for my next live on Thursday at 7 p.m. Central. One of my coaches will be joining me on live, and we are going to talk about how to be coachable because it's such an important conversation to talk about. And I wanted to bring that to my audience as well because y'all are bosses, y'all are entrepreneurs, y'all are CEOs, and y'all's own business. So join us on live on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. I will be going live with Miss Michelle Foy, a big boss, and we're going to have that conversation on how to be coachable and how to be a real CEO. Thank y'all for
Thank
joining
you,
us
Nancy.
today,
Love
and we'll
you.
chat soon. I'll see y'all on Thursday. Love you too. Deuce.
Bye.
Manage, conquer, manage, and maneuver. I'll put it in the comment for the next time. Bye, y'all.